My name is Rohit Bansal and today we will be talking about network and denial of service attacks. So let's first understand about network. In case of any normal communication, we share information with each other. In computers, information or data is in the form of binary bits, which is in zeros and ones. Exchange of binary bit of data between the two computing devices by using some transmission medium is known as communication, and this whole system is known as the networks. Generally, computing devices are made of a combination of both hardware and software. Networks are judged by their effectiveness to deliver data accurately and quickly. As shown in the figure, there are 5 main components of a network: message, which is also called as data, sender, receiver, medium, and the protocol, which is the rule of the communication. Now, let us understand the brief history about the evolution of communicating devices, which is also computer and its network. In past and in present, people communicate with the help of languages. A new type of communicating device was developed by Samuel Morse in 1837. Here, message is translated into a series of long and short electrical signals, which are called impulses. On receiving side, there is a mapping between the impulses and the characters. In 1944, various scientists of Howard University were successful in developing an automatic calculating machine by using the concept of Charles Babbage. This automatic calculating machine is also known as Mark I. Mark I is a first digital computer which accepts input data from punch cards, do some calculation by running a set of commands, and then give proper output in a very less time. As research goes by, first fully electronic computer based on the vacuum tubes, registers, capacitors was developed. It was known as ENIAC or ENIAC. ENIAC was much faster, compact in size, and accurate in calculation than the previous machines which were invented. After the invention of transistors, newer generation of compact in size and more accurate machines came into the picture in 1960s. These all advanced computing devices will be used for processing and communicating purpose as well. First breakthrough in the development of networking is done by the development of RPANet. Initially, RPANet was a US Department of Defense network with a total of 100 computers connected to each other, thus forming a network. Thus, by using these computing system for communication purpose, we changed the way by which we can communicate. Here, text, audio, video, all are considered to be the data. The results in the emergence of WWW with exponential increase in the number of computers to be connected with each other. Today, new business can work without the use of WWW. Now, let us understand computer networks. What is a computer network? A network by definition means interconnection of a set of various communicating devices by a physical medium. Communicating devices can be computers, printers, servers capable of receiving and sending data from the other devices. Now, following are the features of computer networks. First one is resource sharing, then comes the reliability, and then cost effectiveness, remote access, interactive, and person to person communication. Now, let us understand the classification of computer networks. Classification of network is done on variety of parameters. First, on the basis of transmission technology, which is also broadcast network and point to point network. Second, on their basis of geographical distances, which is also we can classify in LAN, MAN and WAN. Third, on the basis of topology, maybe it is a bus, star, ring, mesh or tree, which kind of topology we are using. Fourth, on the basis of architecture, whether it is a peer-to-peer architecture or a client-server architecture. Fifth, on the basis of protocol, is it a Ethernet protocol and token ring protocol. So, these are the parameters. Now, first I will explain classification of network on the basis of transaction technology. We can classify that in broadcast network and point-to-point network. What is broadcast network? Here, messages or data sent by one machine is received by all other machines in the network. All the machines which receive data check whether the message is intended for them or not. Thus, the decision of accepting and ignoring the message is done by using that condition. Now, let us understand what is point-to-point network. Here, network consists of multiple connections between the two individual pair of machines. Here, there are multiple paths or routes between two machines connected in the network. As the network grows bigger, we shift from broadcast technology to point-to-point technology. Second type of classification is on the basis of geographical distances. Here, distance or the location of computer decide the type of network we choose. Let us first take LANs. If geographical distance is less or close to 1 meter to 10 meters, then we go for LAN. LANs are privately owned network within a single building or a single campus. MAN. Here, the geographical distance is larger than LAN, which means that they cover the whole city. Cellular or cable networks in a city is a good example of MAN. Now, let us understand WAN. This type of network is used when we have to connect the machines which are remotely placed, which means across various countries or continents. Here, geographical distance is more than MAN. Now, let us understand the third type of classification, which is on the basis of topology. We will take the first as bus topology, which is also called as horizontal topology. It is also known as multi-point technology. As shown in the figure, number of machines are connected by a single cable called trunk. Here, only one machine is allowed to transmit packet one at a time. Performance of network is low under the heavy load or if number of machines connected in network is large. Here, network installation is cost effective and simple, but the maintenance is difficult. Let us take the second topology, which is star topology. It consists of central hub to which all other computers are connected as shown in the figure. Communication between these two computers takes place through this hub. It is the most popular used topology used in the data communication. Cabling and installation cost is more than bus topology. Centralized management system leads to the loss of privacy. If centralized hub goes down, then it leads to failure of the whole network. Now, let us understand the other topology, which is also called as ring topology. Here, different computers are connected with each other by forming a loop as shown in the figure. Data is passed from one computer to another in a series until it reaches to the desired destination. Cabling and installation cost is 0. Failure of one node leads to the failure of whole network. There is a 0 privacy in this type of network. Now, let us understand the next one, which is mesh topology. Here, every terminal is connected to every other terminal in the network. Adequate number of interfaces must be given in this computer to make all desired connections. Here, installation is quite difficult, expensive, as cabling requirement is very high. It is the most reliable type of communication topology read up till so far, as there are number of paths between the two communication devices can communicate with each other. Now, let us understand another topology which is also called as tree topology. Here computers are connected in a hierarchical way as shown in the figure. Data transmissions is slower. Failure in the main node leads to the failure of the whole network. This type of network topology is flexible in nature, as in the number of nodes can be added or deleted from the network. Here upper level nodes directly controls the lower level nodes. The next type of classification is on the basis of the architecture. Let us first talk about the client server. So, the client server based network, it is a kind of a network wherein a server in a network is a powerful machine that can be shared by all other less powerful machine known as the client, and in this whole server client server architecture, the server is a powerful machine and the clients are the less powerful machines. If more than 10 computers are there in the network, then it is admissible to go for a client server based network for efficient communication. Here processing task is divided between the client and the server. It is found in client server based network that single server has also limitations about making connections. Hence, in the number of client can be connected to the server for efficient and effective communication. Advantages of client server based network: easy location of resources, or everything is centrally located. Lot more improved security features. Faster communication due to the use of dedicated servers. Management of resources is done at the server level. Large number or the client machines can be supported at a single point of time. The chances of data being lost from servers are very less. The disadvantage of client server based networks are: the network installation is expensive, as the cost of operating system and the server hardware is more. The dedicated network administrator is required for the system. So, these are the disadvantages. Now, let us understand the peer to peer network. Peer to peer network compared to the client server based network, there is no hierarchical difference between the workstations. Here all the workstations connected to each other are client and the server at the same time. If in this type of architecture more than 10 workstations are added, then throughput decreases considerably. Here each node will decide which resources it wants to share. Thus, other major drawback apart from limitation is to locate the file or the data resource in the network is very difficult. Advantages of these type of network is no extra network administrator is required. It is cost effective, setup is simple, and again it is very cost effective. Another disadvantage is it is weak and intrusive security. What are the reference models? Here we will discuss about two important network architecture: OSI reference model and TCP IP reference model. Presently, protocols in the OSI reference model is rarely used, but the model is still relevant in present scenarios. TCP IP model has opposite properties, which means models not relevant, but the protocols are widely used. Hence, for this reason we will discuss both these models in detail. OSI model is an open system interconnection. It deals with connecting open systems, which means systems or machines open for communication with each other. OSI model consists of 7 layers: physical layer, data link layer, network layer, transport layer, session layer, presentation layer, and application layer. Now, starting from bottom, most layer we will discuss what each layer do and which design issue were addressed in each layer. Function of 7 OSI layers. First one is the physical layer. It transforms data into transmission signal, which is either digital or analog. Do physical layout of the network. Data link layer. It helps in the construction of data frames, error detection and error correction, retransmission of data. It also examines hardware addresses and send acknowledgement. Network layer, examining uniform IP or local addresses in the subnet, routing of packets through the subnet, establishment of virtual circuits for connection oriented service, packet transmission when needed. Now, let us understand transport layer. It provides reliable connection in communication, sequencing of data in the same order, grant acknowledgement when needed, supervise packet transmission errors when needed. Next one is the session layer. It establishes session between the various communicating machines, dialog control which keeps track whose turn to transmit, token management, preventing two parties from attempting same critical task at the same time, synchronization. If there is a crash in the transmission, then after connection establishment, it continues from the point of the crash. The next layer is the presentation layer. It is concerned about the syntax and the semantics of the data transmitted. It converts data from bit to ASCII code, carry out the data compression. Last in the list is application layer. Most commonly used protocol in application layer is HTTP. File transfer and other management services are also done in this layer. Sharing of remote devices and printers are done in this layer itself. Now, let us understand the next model, which is TCP/IP model. In TCP/IP model, it is popular because it helps us to connect multiple networks in a very seamless way. It also provides flexible architecture for different applications and different requirements such as mail transfer, file transfer, etc. Though the TCP/IP model comes prior to the OSI model, but it is popular, widely accepted, reliable and has attractive properties. TCP/IP model is made up of 5 layers. The first one is application layer, transport layer, internet layer, data link layer and the last one is physical layer. As compared with OSI model, first 4 layers corresponds to first 4 layers of TCP/IP model. 3 topmost layer of OSI model corresponds to the application layer of TCP/IP model. Other popular protocol in TCP/IP models are SMTP and FTP. Now, let us understand the denial of service attacks. We will also call it as DOS attacks. A DOS attack is an attempt to prevent a legitimate use of service from accessing that service. It is used to crash or freeze a service by making a flood attack by saturating all the bandwidth. Recent study has found that DOS attack are getting more and more complex. A more complex form of DOS attack is DDoS. DDoS is a DOS attack launched from a good number of sites against a single host. DDoS is more effective than DOS attack. It is used to bring down various corporate sites. As we studied earlier about zombies, they uses a third party computer to carry out attack on the targeted website. Zombies are malicious code that creates 2 type of zombies machine, which is a master and a slave zombie machine. Attacker activates master zombie, which in turn activated slave zombies to flood the targeted website. In this way, it is very difficult to track a attacker. DDoS attack involves a large number of machines and resources as compared to the normal DOS attack. It is more lethal in nature. Tracing of DDoS attack is impossible as it comes from variety of isolated machines. Failing this, server will fall short of resources, which is memory, network connection, etc., and will come to a standstill. First DOS attack was launched by a Canadian boy. Since then, DOS attacks are launched against famous websites such as Yahoo, Amazon, etc. Now let us understand the procedure to launch DOS attack. On internet, a client server communicate using a TCP IP protocol. This process results in creation of TCP connection between the client and the server before they actually start exchanging the data. The sequence of these interactions are as follows. Client send synchronous request to the server to make a TCP connection with it. Server responds back by sending an acknowledgement, which is also called as SYN acknowledgement, SYN-ACK. Client then send back acknowledgement to the server sync acknowledgement. Thus, after 3 steps, TCP connection between the client and the server is established. After this, they start exchanging the data. In order to launch DOS attack, you should perform step 1 and server will perform step 2, and you as an attacker does not perform step 3. Thus, server will wait for the response from the client. Thus, if a client performs the same steps a number of times, which means performing step 1 and 2 and skipping 3, then this will result in a lot of sync requests pending on the server memory and server will come to a halt. Another more advanced mechanism to launch DOS attack is to perform step 1 with a forged non-existent client IP address. Thus, step 2 will never be executed and sync acknowledgement will never reach to the client and will fool the server. Now, what are the mechanisms to prevent DOS attacks? Investigate the pattern of the incoming packets. If packets for the request of web page comes from the same IP address, then block the all incoming packets. Another thing is that request for a service from the server increases exponentially from a particular machine. Then altogether block their IP addresses itself and the port number as well. Always have a backup server ready if the main server is compromised. Exchange it with main server. Now, in summary, we work with networks every day. It is seen that the network design, development and practice are serious to our style of functioning. In this session, we had talked about various network design issues, their implementation and their models. It is also seen that the computer networks are evaders' first choice. Of all these attacks, DOS and DDoS attacks are popular in nature. Any big scale attack of this type can put thousands of computer operations to the standstill. It can also cause a lot of worth of millions of dollars. Thus, in this session, we had also made a detailed examination of DOS and DDoS attacks.